Hey there, it's Karen here, and I'm with my buddy Whiskey Sour, of course. So cold. I'm so freezing. I know, I'm not in Canada. I'm not supposed to say that, I'm not allowed to say that. But you gotta understand, I'm in a really old building where the heater worked at one point in it, and then they fixed it, and then I was scared to use it, and then it died. It was like just one of those old things. And most landlords are pretty cheap. I'm not gonna lie to you on that. If you're a landlord, don't be cheap. But that heater's been off and on, just ridiculous, and then it's been off for a really long time now. And now I'm starting to feel the cold of the apartment. And then I had because I hope to move, I'm doing little things along the way in preparation for getting out of here. And you know, that might be just like every week putting a box together to take to Goodwill or whatever, just trying to slot into the schedule because I'll never have time to just do it all at once. And one of the things I was doing was in the bathroom, the window, part of the window was rotting out. You know, it's just an old building. So I had to actually fill it, but I had to let the air come through the hole for a little bit to dry any of the moisture that was in the rotting wood out a little bit before I could fix it. And so then the cold air was coming in the bathroom for a while. And it's just like, enough is enough. I'm getting out of here. But, so I'm cold, like I'm just cold to my core. I can't seem to get warm. So I do have my tea. I do have my, this is my bear blanket. It's just this big brown blanket. And of course whiskey here. But I'm fine. I'm not freezing. Like I say I'm freezing, but I'm not like Canada cold. But it's just, can't really tolerate it. It's just too much. But just little things like that, just trying to fix a hole in the bathroom in my day, trying to find time to do that in a day is just ridiculous, you know. And I gotta apologize to you guys that I'm not keeping up with email at all. I'm just not right now. There's so much to do. And I really feel like these blogs that I'm doing online is a good solution for communicating with you guys overall. It's just our community is getting to be so big, so just cut me a bit of slack. I love you guys, and I love hearing from you guys, but my actual response time sucks. It sucks that way for phone messages, for text messages, for email, for everything right now, from my own family even, you know, waiting to hear back from me. So it's a little crazy. And so doing these blogs is really great because I don't want to lose my connection with you guys, you know, just because it's getting bigger. I hate that when I see communities get so big and then all of a sudden you don't talk to anybody anymore. And I feel like I'm hearing a lot of the same issues from people in their email, and I think, well, maybe I can address them online, and then hopefully those people tune in and maybe get something that way. And also to let you know that I'm listening and I'm reading. So I want to read a blog to you today that I wrote called Whoa, Back Up a Bit. The common denominator that I am feeling when I hear from people is the sense of everybody feeling overwhelmed. Much like I just said to you guys, you know, work and everything crazy. But I'm not sad, and I'm pretty happy. I'm just busy, and that's it. So I'm okay with busy. I don't feel an emotional drain or anything like that. Everything's good. So it's just busy, but a lot of you guys are feeling emotionally overwhelmed. And so I want to address that a little bit today. Many people have things that are bothering them, and they seem to be able to identify all of the problems. But if they had 2 solid weeks to do it, they could do it. That's how many problems people have mounting. And this isn't anyone's fault. It's just something that happens when our problems accumulate. My initial response with just about everything and everyone in my life is, whoa, back up a bit. You know, because it's like tuning into a movie right at the height of the plot, and I have no clue what's going on. Like, I'm just kind of tuning in halfway through. And nobody realizes that they're starting a conversation with characters and storylines that I haven't heard before. You know, they just slam into it where they're at. And this is an indication of how overwhelmed people are. And it's like I said, nobody's fault. It's just an indication. And I used to go to my mom for absolutely everything because I knew I could just pick up where I left off. And there's something very cool about that. That if someone already knows your history and already knows your story, you don't have to get them up to speed on anything. You don't have to hear the same words come out of your mouth over and over and over to new people. And that might be really painful to deal with. You know, I understand that. It's nice to have that one person in your life who just knows you. But there's something to be said about having a fresh perspective from someone who can shed new light on your situation. And so it can be worth it to start from the beginning, as painful as that sounds. Just, have to hear all those words come out of your mouth again. The more I hear about everyone's problems, the more I think people are either biting off more than they can chew, or they're just taking on unnecessary fights that they could choose to omit from the equation. And I think I can fairly confidently say that I've had more problems in my life than what one person can or should deal with. And I will also admit that a lot of those problems I gave way too much attention to. And that attention doubled, tripled, and often quadrupled my own problems. There's a domino effect that happened with me, where I would have a problem with somebody and then I would find all sorts of other problems with them because I just didn't like them. You just start, if your husband doesn't spend time with you, then you start getting mad at every bad habit he has, every flaw he has, whether that's real, imagined, or inflated. Basically we just add problems and annoyances on because, geez, we just don't have enough drama, right? Generally we do this to build a case against them. It's like we're in court proving to them that they suck by just adding as many criminal charges as we can onto the list to prove that we're hurting. Just to prove to them that we are hurting. So you build this big case against them. And we also allow the smaller problems to take up too much of our valuable time. The things that happen, the external things, the little family gossip circles that happen, world news, religious and political dialogue, these are things that we seem to hurl ourselves into, even if we clearly don't have the time or energy to add those topics onto our plate. We'll just do it anyway. Because I guess we like the drama. I don't know. We could be in the middle of a divorce, and we'll join some online anti-something or other movement, and start fighting it out with people online, when our relationship needs our attention, or at least a clear head to be able to deal with whatever that is. And it's not fair to ask our souls and our spirits to do this just by piling more on your own soul. Your soul is your body is your temple, and yet we're adding all this unnecessary stuff on that our soul doesn't deserve, or it maybe can't even deal with. So I'm thinking, can you imagine how much easier it would be to just solve a marital spat if everything outside the problem was really super positive? If we woke up in the morning and we went for a jog, or we ate a decent breakfast and then just opened the curtains to let some sunshine in, I'm sure we would be in a better headspace to correct some of these problems. It's hard because we don't feel like doing positive things when something really important is failing. That's the bigger issue. But really, how's it gonna be worse? How is just opening the blinds to let some sunshine in, and I use that literally and metaphorically, gonna really make that marital spat worse? I think there's things that we can choose in the peripheral. We talk about the peripheral a lot. I talk about the peripheral a lot. I always try to include you guys. I always talk about the peripheral a lot. And we can choose and pick what other problems we can be involved in. If a relationship, to me, is going down the drain, why are we arguing over the color of paint that's in our living room, or nag about the grass not being cut? I think if the person who's sitting across from us is more important than paint or grass, then they deserve the attention that's required to get to the root of this problem and this issue. I believe we should be willing to give up everything to make that work, even those imagined and inflated problems, especially those imagined inflated problems. So when I say, whoa, back up a bit, I feel like I'm saying it so many times now to people, because I think these superficial issues, which are only symptoms of the bigger problem, are causing me to say that. Like, it's just like, I'm just so overwhelmed by what I'm hearing from people, and the person who's saying it to me is overwhelmed by their own issues. So, whoa, back up a bit. Let's take this at a step at a time, and let's only deal with what we can deal with and what we can control in this situation. Now, I'm not going to say most problems I hear are just boiled down to one problem. But that's probably more accurate than saying everyone has 1,000 real problems. I don't know anybody who has 1,000 real problems that they're dealing with. Just either feels like it, or we've inflated or imagined a bunch to add on to our initial problem. And We may have several bad things happen. We may be getting stones thrown at us on a daily basis, but the amount of stones that are thrown at us is not the problem. It's the stone hurling that is the problem. Do you see what I mean? I think whoever's throwing them is the issue, why they are throwing them is the issue, and how we react to the stone hurling is the issue. We can't be counting stones all day, because we could sit around all day and just count these stones. And it's not helpful to say, today I had 15 stones thrown at me, that's twice as many as yesterday. You're still not addressing who's throwing the stones and why and how you can react to it. So now I won't say that I would give, you know the saying I said I really dislike haters of the world, all the haters out there? I'm not going to say I'm going to give the haters of the world a free pass or let them off the hook. But I simply have to pick and choose my battles in order to keep my spirit strong and to be able to work at a functional capacity. So this means if a problem is going to tip my scales in a really negative way, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just not. There's just some things like grass and paint and a few stones here and there that are not my issue. They just aren't. And if I was a doctor or an awesome psychiatrist or somebody who could really get to the heart of those things in a meaningful way, then maybe I would be able to deal with that. But when anybody emails me and just says they had 1,000 stones thrown at them today, it is not helpful for me, and it's not helpful for the person saying it. It's like, we gotta back this up a bit. I also try to get rid of any family gossip and external issues which just take time away from me loving my friends and my family. And I would rather sit down with my family and pull out a bunch of guitars and jam than talk garbage and gossip around a kitchen table. Because I hate that. I just can't stand it. The kind of bonding time that I'm talking about, you know, anytime you just jam instruments with each other or go on hikes with each other or hang out with each other in a real fun way or play games or whatever, that's bonding time that will ensure you're not going to have a split. You know, that you're not going to have any issues with each other, because, you know, then if the issue is, oh, your ball went out of line, you know, that's on a basketball court, okay, that's an easy problem, you know. But when you start fighting around a kitchen table about all these external things that have nothing to do with your marital issues or your problems, I just don't think it's gonna go anywhere. I think it's important to identify what the time stealers are. So when I say that I'm hearing from all these people that are being overwhelmed, I think we can't get rid of all the problems, but we can kind of back burner or just view them a little differently and maybe just say, okay, well, all these external problems are really only symptoms of this bigger one, and if I cut out that cancerous growth, then everything else will be fine. So I think maybe just get back to the root of the problem a bit. I signed off today saying, letting the grass die in order for growth to happen. This is really, to me, just getting rid of some of those smaller issues. You know, if your husband's not cutting the grass today and you're mad at him about that, is you getting mad at him, is that going to help? Or is it going to just, you know, put a bigger canyon between the two of you? That's all I'm suggesting. It's just like, I don't want to hear about, you know, you having to nag at your husband about the grass as much as you don't want to say it. You don't want to hear that come out of your mouth. Let's talk about the real issues are, so, you know, you and your husband can become friends again. It's like, let the grass go to pot. Keep the kitchen or the living room that awful color of green for a while if you have to, you know, just to make the relationship more of a priority. So, whoa, back up a bit. It's my blog today. I didn't add a quote on to the end of it. I can't believe it. I'll find one and I'll post it up. Let me think of one. Albert Einstein. Always go to him. If in doubt, always go to him. Insanity. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. There you go. Alright, guys. I will tune in with you again tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll be a little warmer by then. Get my hole in the bathroom all filled in, and maybe I won't have cold air coming. That's my drama. That's my overwhelming issue. Cold. What do you think about it, Whiskey? You're fine. You got all this nice fur on you. Say rock on. Rock on, guys. Rock on.